Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Bo again. So, today we are going to talk about our man in the Kremlin. We're going to talk about Putin and the situation he finds himself in. A whole lot of people are asking what's going to happen. How at risk is he? Is he going to be able to retain control? Stuff like that. Short answer is we don't know yet. We don't know yet. And there's a reason that nobody's really guessing at this point. There's a lot of factions. So we're going to go through some of them and talk about what we can kind of pull from the reporting and different places where they talk and kind of get a feel for where they're at. We will start with Putin himself. Basically, he's saying the entire country is united behind him. Okay. So we'll go to the rest of the factions now. The nationalists, the hardcore nationalist people. It's worth noting that before the little dust up with Wagner, Gherkin was already like, Putin can't handle the war. He needs to transfer his war powers. They are calling him pitiful, saying that his view of what's happening inside Russia is from a parallel reality. They have zero faith in the man at this point. The pro-Wagner channels, they're basically just anti-Putin at this point. No uniting philosophy, ideology, anything like that. They're just mad. They just don't like Putin. The pro-Kremlin commentators, they're mad too, but they're mad because Putin didn't act decisively when it comes to Wagner. What they mean there is that they were expecting him to kind of double cross the leadership and find a permanent solution to those who questioned his rule. At bare minimum, they expected him to act against the leadership. They're seeing him as weak as well. They're still loyal, but they view this as a weakness, not a mistake. The public-facing Kremlin response, like the official responses, everything is fine. Putin's image is untarnished. Anybody saying otherwise is just a baby throwing a tantrum. Privately, inside the Kremlin, it's the blame game. They're all blaming each other for various things. There's a lot of political jockeying for position going on, a lot of palace intrigue. This is normal. It's always occurring in the background, but right now it's really intense because they're expecting personnel changes. That's it. That's what we know. Is Putin at risk? Yeah. But it would require multiple factions kind of working out a deal. If they don't unify, he might actually be able to stay in power. But the reality is at this point, Putin is having to walk around a whole lot and tell everybody he's the king. If you're the king, you don't have to tell people. And he's doing that a whole lot lately. This is the reason nobody really wants to kind of say what's going to happen. There's too many variables at this point. I mean, I can't even guess. There are multiple options. You could see the nationalists siding with Wagner. You could see the nationalists siding with the pro-Kremlin commentators. There's a lot of overlap between these groups that could form larger groups large enough to get Swan Lake on the air. One of the questions that came in that I definitely want to address, would it be better for Russia or for the West if the boss of Wagner had succeeded in taking control of Russia? No, absolutely not. The boss of Wagner, don't think that just because he is losing his loyalty to Putin that he's a good guy. He's not. He's not. He is not somebody that you would want in control of a strategic arsenal. But the good news about that is, generally speaking, the person who wields the knife doesn't sit on the throne next. So even if something was to happen and he was the person ultimately seen as being responsible for removing Putin, he probably wouldn't be in charge anyway. It's happened, but generally speaking, that's not what occurs. Somebody else who is aligned with him would actually take power. But somebody aligned with him would be that bad, would be just as bad. As far as would it be better for the West? No, it wouldn't. I mean, besides that, where would Republicans get their talking points from? Generally speaking, it's a giant mess. And a whole lot of stuff was stirred up, and everybody has to wait for it to kind of float back down to the bottom and see where it lands. He really could pull it out. He really could. Putin might remain in power. At the same time, if there was some deal struck between the various factions, we probably wouldn't know about it ahead of time. So you have that. And as far as the idea of Putin saying Russia is united behind him, that's the one thing we know isn't true. And if I was Putin, I wouldn't want anybody behind me. Anyway, it's just a thought. Y'all have a good day.